Hello all and welcome back to another wonderful video. Today I am here in Ponytown to bring to you all 5 more things that you can do in Ponytown, and honestly 5 things that you should probably try to do in Ponytown, other than roleplay and stuff like that. It seems like all the time people are mostly just doing lab roleplay or this roleplay or that roleplay or whatever else, and they don't really ever seem to be actually doing things outside of that. So today I'm going to bring you 5 things that you can do in Ponytown, starting right here. How about we start right here? This right here is known as the Gay Box. It's an interesting little game where you have 13 little stripes there. You could have more if you want to, make them many different colors, make them roughly this tall and everything like that. That's the simple setup of it. Get 13 little things like that, just little stripes or whatever like that. You can color them however you want. I just did like this because it was the simplest way. And then of course put some walls above and below it, and you're done. That is all setup is required. Now for this game you're gonna have a host. A host is gonna sit somewhere above the box here, and then every other player is gonna go inside the box. Once all the players are in there, you're gonna take your saw and you're gonna completely seal them up in there so that they're completely trapped. Then the host is going to press F8 on their keyboard, or they're going to go through their settings and turn on tall wall mode. This will allow them to be unable to see the players. Now I will say that if the players are up high enough, if they are like in this rough area up here, then you will be able to see them. So as a host, it's your job to kind of, you know, keep them instructed and that they need to kind of stay down here and stuff like that. You need to also make sure that none of the players that are inside of this area right here ever start typing in chat, because of course the chat indicator will appear above their head. As well, they obviously can't just type a message or something like that, because then again, it will of course show their location. And this game relies on the host not knowing the location of any of the players. So we can seal that up again or whatever and explain how this game works. So essentially all the players that are inside this box are going to run around however they want, and the host is going to sit by and connive and think. I don't know the right words. they're going to sit back and they're going to think, and then randomly they're going to tell everyone to stop. Now when they tell players to stop, the players that are inside are going to have to stop on one of the colors. They can't stop between the colors like this. They must stop on one of the colors. If they happen to be between 2 colors when the host does say stop, then they must choose one of those colors and stop on there. The reason why this is because the host is going to take their saw and they're going to put a wall through the box. And so obviously if I was in between that wall, I would obviously glitch out and potentially get teleported outside the box and stuff like that. So we don't want that. But now that the box is sort of closed off and everything like that, the player that was on this tile right here, for example, birthmarks here on this little yellow thing, so any player that was on that would be stuck on this side and they wouldn't be able to get past and get into this little area right here that's all over here and stuff. So they're stuck in these 5 little tile colors and everything like that, and they're gonna continue to run around. Now that there's been a wall placed, they have permission to run around again, and again the host is going to say stop and the player is going to stop. They're going to stop on one of the colors, and then the host is going to put another saw, or not another saw, but another wall through the box. So they're going to do something similar to like this. They could put one over here if they wanted to instead, but for the sake of this example we're going to do it like this. So that they put a wall through the box just like this, and now that I have been trapped between these 2 walls, I must now walk straight down or straight up to escape the box. Now what that would look like is something more like this, because obviously these walls would be sealed up, but what that would look like is this. So obviously I've been trapped and now I walk out. Obviously I've gotten out of the box. Now the objective of this game is for the host to wipe out every single player except one. The last player that is standing will win. Now, you only ever get out if you're between 2 walls like I showed before, where 2 walls are surrounding either color and you're not able to, you know, move around other than move up and down to escape the box. So that is the basic premise of the game, is that you just gotta run around until the host says stop. They shove a wall through there, and if you're stuck between 2 walls like these 2 right here, then you're out of the game. You have to leave the box, and yeah, it just goes until there's 1 person left. Now there are special cases where you would end up in this weird situation where there's 2 people left and you have, like, for example, let's say there's 2 people inside this little area right here. Obviously only 2 people can fit there, so if I shove a wall through here, it would obviously get both of them out. However, if they were both the last players left, then you could say that it ends in a tie, or you could say that the host wins that round or something like that. So that is kind of how this box works. This little box game here works. You could call it whatever you want to. I just like to call it the gay box because it's funny. But that is the basic premise of the game. So let's move on to some more things that you can do in Ponytown besides just idle around and roleplay and stuff like that. So this next one is something that I'm going to put up a little example here up on screen. This is an animation thing that you can do in Ponytown. That's right, you can make animations in Ponytown. It's very weird and awkward and a little bit janky and stuff like that, obviously, because it's not meant to be used for animation and things like that, but you can indeed do that. You can indeed make animations. Now you may be asking yourself, how are you doing this? How does this work exactly? Well, it's very simple. Simply just grab whatever object you want. I have a mushroom for some reason, so we're just going to use a mushroom, and now we're going to start animating this. So we can either grab our crowbar, or we can just use our hammer because of the way it works, and we can move this one little step at a time, just like this, and it's gonna go like this. It's gonna go around the pole just like this, and it's lagging a little bit, that's why it's hopping around. We'll just circle that around a little bit, and now we can Control Z all the way until it's back to where it started, or Control Z, or you can just hit Z, and now we can press Y and it will play it in the correct direction. So if we press Y, you can see how it jumps to another location, and if we press that fast enough, you can see how it plays a little bit of an animation type thing. And basically you can do that to sort of create your own animations in Ponytown. It's a really weird thing, but it is possible. Now, I've seen some people do some things that are way more wild than obviously a mushroom walking around, and then as well as I've obviously seen things better than that weird grape thing that I did earlier. So this is something that you can play around with. You can come up with all kinds of ideas and stuff like that, and you can obviously incorporate yourself in the animation. Perhaps you want a bunch of mushrooms to just circle yourself and then just scatter about. That is entirely a thing you can do. It takes a good minute, but you can do it using the Z and Y, or the undo and redo buttons, to sort of maneuver things. So moving on to this third idea here and everything like that. Now, this is something that I actually shared very recently in a very recent video where I explained mini game ideas and stuff like that I would hope that Ponytown eventually uses and stuff like that. Now, this is like a shopping list type game, scavenger hunt type game, where there is a central host, and the host tells all the players, go find this object or go find this thing and bring it back. And all the players must scatter out, get it, bring it back, and then they're assigned a new object. So let's say I'm host and I'm chilling here and I'm like, go find a lantern. And now all the players have to go scatter about. They have to go search this entire island and this whole world, whatever that you have set up, and find a lantern. They can find a lantern like this, and then they can bring it all the way back to the, host or whatever like that. Once they get it back to the host, let's say the host is here, we can bring it back to the host. They can drop it, they can do slash drop, or they can just give it to the host. I think giving it to the host makes more sense than the player dropping it, but they can give it to the host like that, and then of course the host will tell them the next object they have to do. Now you can set a timer for like 5 minutes or something like that, and then have like a bunch of objects in mind lined up for the players to go out and get, or you can just have a set list of like 5-10 objects, however many objects you want the players to go get, and then of course have them go through all that, and whoever can get through that entire list first would of course win. So the list obviously would have to be in order. You can't just be like for example, if a dandelion's on the list and it's like the last one on the list, they can't just grab that dandelion first, they have to grab it last. So that would be more so to keep order of things, that way things don't get confusing. Obviously, if this was a mini game that was actually introduced in the game itself, obviously that sort of thing would be automated, and there wouldn't really be a host, because the host would be the game itself. So yeah, that's a very simple one. I don't really want to go too much more in detail with that because it's extremely simple, and like I said, I've explained it before in a very recent video. So let's move on to this fourth one, a game called Grid. Now simply it works in a very simple way. Now you're going to take turns rolling out of 6, but you're going to decide who goes first. So whoever goes first is going to put a colored carpet anywhere on this entire 8x8 grid. This is a standard 8x8 grid, by the way, so if you're curious, you don't have to pause and count or whatever like that. It's just an 8x8 grid, 8 this way, 8 down this way. So that's how that is. So player 1 will start and they'll do something like this, and then player 2 will start and they'll put one here, and now player 1 must roll. They roll out of 6, and so they roll 6. They rolled a 4, so now they must take that 4 and go exactly 4 spaces away from one of the things they own. So all of the spaces they own obviously are pink, like this one here, so they have to come off of this one since it's the starting thing. So they can go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they can put another pink square right there. Now player 2 goes and they do the same thing. They roll and they got a 3, so they can take and go 1, 2, and 3 and put a 3 right here. Simple like that. Now it's the next player's turn, and they can roll again. Now they get a 6, which is a really hard number to deal with, but they got a 6, and now they can either come off of this square right here, or they can come off of this square here, since they own both of those tiles. So they can go let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they can do that. The objective of the game is to keep going until there is a space, or until you roll something where you can't place it. So for example, if pink was to go again and they rolled another 6, they don't have a place to put that because there's no other 6 left. So they can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, there is another 6, but let's pretend that one was done too. And they roll another number, and again it's a 6. They obviously can't do anything about that because there's not a place to put a 6, so they lose. Now, you cannot go through your opponent's pieces. So for example, if let's say blue had somehow done all of this, they somehow did this, I can't go through this at all because it's completely surrounding it. If the player did this or something like that, and pink rolled a 2 or a 3 or something like that, they can't go 1, 2, 3 because this is obviously blocking it. So you can block your opponent with this strategy. However, you're not blocked by your own pieces. So if I were to have something like this, for example, this little tile here, and I was to roll a 4, I can go 1, 2, 3, and 4 because I can go through my own spaces, but I can't go through my opponent's spaces. I hope that made sense. It's an extremely simple game. It's a lot of fun, and it involves a lot of strategy because you have to think very carefully about what you potentially will roll in the future, because if you end up rolling something that ends up screwing you, then you're going to be screwed. So there's a lot of planning ahead that you need to make in this game. So that is that one, and now we get to move on to this last one. And this last one is actually extremely simple, and it brings us to the main menu. This last thing here is not a game, so to speak, but it is something fun that you can do, and that is quite simply make a character. Now, obviously, making a character is fun by itself, but if you wanted to do something really fun and throw a twist on it and stuff like that, you can obviously create challenges for you and your friends to compete to make characters and stuff like that. So you could do something like make a black and white character, and then you and all of your friends make a black and white character, and then you come back to the game and show everyone your black and white character. And then obviously you could have a judge, or you could just be like, oh, that one's really funny or whatever. You could just have fun with it. As well, you could do things like the negative challenge, where you put a negative filter over your computer or your tablet or your phone or whatever like that, and you try to design a character with a negative filter on it, where all the colors are swapped and stuff like that. There is, of course, all kinds of things like that you can do. There is an RNG challenge that you could do as well, where you could roll some dice. So we have 9 different body patterns. I could roll like a 10-sided die or something like that, and then whatever I rolled, I could just roll 2 regular dice or whatever like that. And then if I rolled a 9, then I have to use the 9th body pattern. If I rolled 3, then I have to use the 3rd body pattern or something like that. And then you can do that for every single thing that gives you options. So we could do that again for the legs patterns, and then again for the front hooves and back hooves and the horns and things like that. And you can roll dice to sort of create this RNG element to everything like that. In fact, you could even do that with the color codes themselves. So for example, instead of having a base white color or a base red color or something like that, you can roll dice, and every single time you roll a number, you put that number into the color code, and you just keep going until you end up with something that is really weird like this. This is an interesting little navy blue kind of color. It's really interesting. So there's all kinds of like little character challenges and stuff like that you can do, and I think it would be a lot of fun to try out. So I might do that at some point in the future, but for now, these are 5 things that I hope that you guys enjoyed and will potentially start doing in Ponytown. So those are the 5 things that I had for you guys. I do hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please do like, subscribe, share, and do all of those wonderful things like that, because when you do those wonderful things, you get access to wonderful content such as this. But that's not all you get. No, it's not all you get. You also get to become wonderful yourself, and I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.